So there's our copy. I'm going to move this back into its correct location so that everything matches up. I'm going to hide our original shade leaf, and now we're just looking at this new shade leaf component here. I'm going to rename this one so that it doesn't get in our way. Rename. We're going to call this the shade leaf tool. There we go. And the very first thing I'm going to do to this new piece, which is our copy, is we're going to split this in half. So I am going to do a split body, and I'm going to select this surface, and I can click check. And now we have two components. I am going to just hide this one out of the way because we don't need it, and we'll just be focusing on this surface here to make our second tool. Okay, so now that we are looking at the cross section, we can use that to help us make the other part. So I'm going to immediately project a bunch of sketches to our plane here to help us draw out some of the features for that tool. So we're going to select our face, project, and I'm going to just select these features here and select this face. And I'm also going to select the outermost edge of this part so that we can transfer that across as well. So I'm going to select these, this one as well, and there's a little edge here. So there we go. So I'm going to project all of these down. We should have projected geometry now. So I'm going to hide this plane. And I'm also going to hide the shade leaf and see how we're doing. We are missing a little line here, so I'm going to bring back our shade leaf. And I'm going to also project this edge here. We're going to need to bring our plane back. There we go. So I can hide that plane. So now that we have our edges projected to the surface, I am now going to start building the outer face of the tool that we're going to use. So we used an inner tool for a vacuum form, and we're going to use an outer tool to trim the component. And so one of the flat faces that we're going to use is over here to be able to trim away a lot of this inner surface here. And we're going to do a left half, and then we'll mirror it and turn it into a right half. But we're just going to start off drawing some structure so that we can align everything. And I know that this component was made using a extrude cut along this edge here. So I'm going to try to keep using this plane as the extrusion direction. And so I'm going to try to keep a parallel plane on the backside here to be able to really cut away that material effectively. I would like for this line to be parallel to that extrusion plane, and I'm going to make that parallel. So I'm trying to figure out where the other surfaces of this tool should go, and I'm going to just make sure that this edge here is perpendicular and a consistent distance away. So I'm just going to say that this is 70 millimeters. And that way I know that I have a little bit of a gap between this inner surface and the outer surface of the tool. And I'm also going to make sure that this is perpendicular. Like that, perfect. And this is also centered now. So that's great there. I am going to, for a guide, just add an extra line here. Make sure that this line here is perpendicular to that line. And I'm going to make this 30 millimeters for our total length of our bit. So I need to make sure that this point ends up inside of this line in order to be able to cut that material away. And I'm going to not go right to the edge. I'm going to give myself a little bit of extra space. That looks good right there. And we could give this a fixed dimension as well. So let's just call this 80. And I'm going to double check the other side also follows the same rule. We're going to say that this is 30. And this line is perpendicular to this line. So it falls a little short here, so I'm going to reduce this dimension here, and we're going to call this 76. We could bring this down maybe 1 millimeter, call this 69. If we look up here, we can look on the top for a second, and I am going to make another line that is going to be another surface that we'll use to cut away the material that's going to be left over from the vacuum forming process. So we can use this surface as well as a guide. So I'm going to turn this vertical, and I'm going to make sure that this edge here is horizontal. Like that. And that looks pretty good right there. So I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom here. I'm going to add an extra line here, and I'm going to just make sure that this works with this surface here. This line isn't vertical or horizontal anymore necessarily, so I'm just going to make sure that these are perpendicular. And I can drag this line out and just make sure that I have enough clearance for the tool to fit behind this part, like that. And the only thing I need to double check is that this curve here is within 30 millimeters of this bottom surface. So I'm going to just drag this out. That looks pretty good right there. So I'm just going to delete that line. And that should be enough to create our tool.